Have you ever wondered how age can affect your independence and happiness? In this video, we'll meet Grandale, an inspiring 80-year-old woman who defies the typical stereotypes of aging. She challenges the belief that getting older means losing your ability to care for yourself. Stay with us until the end to discover her powerful philosophy on living freely, the secrets to her vibrant life, and how you too can embrace your golden years with joy and confidence. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me. And if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. In the eyes of the secular world, reaching the venerable age of 80 is often perceived as a pivotal turning point, a watershed moment where many believe that vitality begins to wane and the need for support becomes an inevitable reality. There is a prevailing notion that once individuals cross this significant threshold, they must relinquish their independence, surrendering to the belief that their ability to care for themselves diminishes with each passing year. This stereotypes as a long shadow over the lives of older adults, suggesting that their twilight years are synonymous with the dependency and loss of agency. However, Grandale, an extraordinary 80-year-old matriarch, boldly defies this limiting narrative with her profound and vibrant life philosophy. With a twinkle in her eye that exudes wisdom and defiance, she passionately asserts that age is merely a number, an arbitrary label that holds no true power over an individual's capacity to live fully and independently. Despite the countless heartfelt invitations from her children, who yearn for her company and envision her living with them to share the joys of family life, Grandale graciously declines every offer. With a warm and infectious laugh that radiates confidence and contentment, she declares, "I'm thriving on my own. There's no need to burden my children. Living alone in my golden years is the most joyful and empowering choice I could ever make." There's simply no other way to age that compares to this exhilarating sense of freedom and self-determination. Her words resonate with a sense of liberation that many can only dream of. She embodies the belief that a fulfilling old age should not be tethered to the whims of family, but rather rooted in personal agency and the joy of living life on one's terms. In her serene solitude, Grandale finds joy in the simplicity of each day. She savors the little moments, whether it's enjoying a cup of tea on her porch while watching the sunrise, tending to her vibrant garden that blooms with life, or indulging in her favorite books that transport her to distant lands. Each day unfolds like a precious gift, and she moves to the rhythm of her desires, unencumbered by the expectations or habits of others. Her laughter dances through the air like music, reminding everyone around her that life can be a beautiful symphony of joy and independence, even in the later stages. This steadfast resolve is not just an assertion of her self-reliance. It is a profound declaration of her dignity as a human being, a fierce affirmation of her right to choose her path. Grandale passionately vows to maintain her independent lifestyle until her very last breath, for she understands that the true essence of happiness lies in her ability to steer her course through life. "Look at me," she proudly proclaims, her voice filled with a mix of joy and defiance. "I'm 80 years young. My hearing is as keen as it was in my youth. My eyes sparkle with life, and I walk with a spring in my step that belies my age. If I didn't share my age, people would guess I'm barely over 60. I'm brimming with vitality." Her spirit serves as a testament to the power of choice, the beauty of resilience, and the extraordinary joy that can flourish in the later chapters of life. Grandale's journey is an inspiration, not just to her family, but to all who encounter her, proving that life's richness does not diminish with age, but can deepen. She embodies the essence of living fully and intentionally, embracing each moment with open arms and an open heart, teaching us all that the path to happiness is paved not by age, but by the choices we make and the spirit with which we live. Her legacy is one of empowerment, reminding us that we have the power to define our narratives and that aging can be a celebration of life, independence, and the joy of simply being. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Since the passing of her beloved husband a decade ago, Grandale's children have grown increasingly concerned for her well-being. Their worry has manifested in a flurry of gentle urgings and heartfelt pleas for her to move in with them. They voice their fears, expressing the anxiety that she might have an accident while alone in her home or fall ill without anyone around to assist her in times of need. Yet, despite their genuine intentions and love, Grandale has resolutely made up her mind to maintain her independence. "I appreciate my children's intentions," she explains with warmth, "but I truly don't want to rotate living with them in my old age. That kind of life simply isn't for me." Her love for freedom and the ability to live life according to her wishes is paramount. "I cherish the autonomy that comes with my own space. I don't want to be confined by their routines or constrained by the limitations of their home," she continues, her eyes glimmering with conviction. "There are places I can't move or touch, and I can't abide that kind of restriction. My home is a sanctuary, and I need that space to breathe." Moreover, Grandale is deeply aware of the dynamics that would shift if she were to move in with her children. She doesn't want to impose on their lives or become a burden. They have their own lives to lead, Full of their responsibilities and joy, she reflects thoughtfully. Even if they don't voice it, my moving in would inevitably disrupt their peaceful existence. I can only imagine how their spouses might feel about having an elderly person in the house. I truly understand that. This awareness speaks to her profound respect for her children's autonomy and happiness. In her mind, maintaining a healthy distance is akin to keeping a bowl of soup at the right distance, not too close that it burns the mouth, nor too far that it cools the heart. Living together with different habits and ideas can lead to friction and disharmony, and I want to avoid that at all costs. After much contemplation, Grandale has concluded that living alone is the most comfortable and fulfilling choice for her. The idea of moving to a nursing home is simply out of the question. The thought of abiding by endless rules feels suffocating, especially when she has grown accustomed to the freedom of her lifestyle. I've lived freely for so long, she asserts. I refuse to trade that in for a regimented existence. Hiring a caretaker also feels impractical. The financial burden is not light, and she believes her pension should be preserved for her own needs and well-being. How can I possibly hand over my resources to an outsider when my children have their pressures? I can't bear the thought of adding to their burden, she adds, her voice tinged with determination. Thus, she resolves to rely on herself as she navigates the challenges of aging. As long as my body remains strong and capable, I can happily tend to my own needs and live in my little nest, she says, a smile breaking across her face as she envisions her life. For Grandale, life is most comfortable when it is lived on her own terms, free from the constraints of others. Her steadfast independence and unwavering spirit stand as a powerful testament to the joy that can be found in self-reliance, reminding us all that aging can be an exhilarating journey defined not by limitations, but by choices that honor our true selves. She's always been the type of person who takes her health seriously, but over the years, her commitment to staying strong has grown into something much more profound. She's gone beyond just doing what's necessary. She's dedicated herself to truly understanding what it takes to maintain her vitality, not just for a few more years, but for decades to come. This journey toward a healthier, stronger body wasn't something she took lightly. It involved countless hours of research, poring over articles, books, and studies. She didn't just accept the typical advice, she questioned it, dug deeper, and sought out real-life examples of people who had achieved what she aspired to. One of the most impactful steps she took was teaming up with a few friends who shared her passion for health. Together, they embarked on a fascinating adventure, visiting the famous longevity villages known for their high populations of centenarians. These villages have intrigued scientists and health enthusiasts for years because their residents seem to have cracked the code for long, healthy lives. What she saw in these villages was nothing short of amazing. The elders there, some well into their 90s and even 100s, all had something in common. They simply could not sit still. These weren't people who resigned themselves to a quiet, sedentary life because of their age. Quite the opposite. They were out in the fields, tending to crops, or around their homes, sweeping, cleaning, or organizing. They were always moving, always active, and always engaged in something. What struck her even more than their physical activity was their attitude. These elders didn't think they should be waited on just because they were old. They had no interest in sitting around and letting others take care of them. Instead, they carried a strong sense of self-reliance and independence, a quiet pride in being able to do things for themselves. It was clear to her that this mindset, this refusal to let age define their abilities, was a crucial part of why they were still so healthy and vibrant. Their determination to stay active and engaged with life, despite their years, was truly inspiring to witness. It made her realize that aging doesn't have to mean decline. It can mean growth, strength, and continued purpose, if you have the right mindset. As she spent more time with these long-lived elders, she began to notice other commonalities. Each of these remarkable individuals had a unique but consistent outlook on life. They all had this air of cheerfulness about them, a sense of optimism that radiated from their very being. Life hadn't always been easy for them, and many had lived through hardships, whether it be poverty, personal loss, or other challenges. Yet they had learned how to take life's ups and downs in stride. They didn't dwell on the negative. Instead, they focused on the things they could control: their own mindset, their own happiness. It didn't matter if they didn't have material wealth. They made each day rich with meaning. They ate simple, wholesome meals, got plenty of rest, and most importantly, kept themselves in a good mood. This sense of inner peace and joy was as much a part of their longevity as any diet or exercise routine. The more she learned from them, the more she began to apply these lessons to her own life. Reflecting on her past, she realized how much time she had wasted getting caught up in minor details. I used to let small, insignificant things upset me for days, she confessed. Things that, in the grand scheme of life, really didn't matter. I would stew over little annoyances or setbacks, and it would take a toll on me, both mentally and physically. But seeing how these elders approached life changed something within her. She started focusing on keeping her mind light and cheerful, brushing off the small stuff, and finding joy in everyday moments. Now, I stay upbeat every day, and it's amazing how much of a difference it makes. I've noticed that when my mood is positive, my body naturally follows. I feel more energized, more alive. It wasn't just her internal shift that was noticeable. Her lifestyle habits began to change as well. She started eating better, sticking to regular meal times, and making sure she got enough rest. Exercise, once something she did out of necessity, became a joy. She realized that staying active wasn't just about keeping fit. It was about staying engaged with life, about preserving her independence and vitality for as long as possible. But as she looked around at some of her peers, she couldn't help but feel a deep sense of concern. Many of them had fallen into unhealthy patterns that were clearly taking a toll on their bodies and minds. They lived irregular lives, never eating or sleeping on time, and exercise was barely on their radar. These habits had devastating effects on their health. By the time they reached their 70s and 80s, their bodies had deteriorated so much that they had lost the ability to live independently. Some of them were completely dependent on others just to manage their daily tasks. It's heartbreaking to see, she says, her voice filled with emotion. I don't want that for myself, and I don't think anyone really does. To need others to take care of me, because I can't live on my own terms, it's a terrifying thought. For her, this fear of losing her independence is a powerful motivator. I always say that the body is a use it or lose it situation, she explains with conviction. If you don't use your muscles, if you don't move your body, it will start to weaken. And once that happens, it's incredibly hard to get back. You start losing your vitality and eventually you lose your health. This belief drives her to keep moving, to stay active, to nurture her body with care and attention. She knows that by staying physically and mentally engaged, she's not just adding years to her life, she's adding life to her years. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment below to let me know that you are still here with me. Her journey is a testament to the power of choice, the choice to take control of one's health, the choice to adopt a positive mindset, and the choice to live each day with purpose and intention. It's not always easy, but as she's learned from the centenarians, it's worth every bit of effort. Through their example, she's discovered that true longevity isn't just about living longer, it's about living better. And with that knowledge, she's shaping a future where she can thrive, full of strength, joy, and independence for many years to come. For many years, she has maintained an unwavering commitment to exercise, no matter the season. Whether it's blistering cold or sweltering heat, she makes sure to keep moving, pushing herself to stay active and strong. Even when the wind howls or the rain pours down, she's never deterred from stepping outside, feeling the fresh air, and immersing herself in the beauty of the world beyond her doorstep. I would never allow myself to waste away at home, she says with determination. Not only do I exercise every single day, but I also love to travel, often joining group trips that take us on adventures. We sometimes come across challenging paths, difficult trails, and steep hills, and every time I find myself in one of those tough situations, even when others kindly offer to help, I insist on doing it myself. In my mind, the moment I start accepting help is the moment I begin to slack off. I can't afford to let that happen never again. She holds herself to the highest standards, demanding discipline and strength from herself. She knows that if she were to let herself fall into the trap of relying on others too often, her abilities would start to slip away. And that's something she simply won't accept. Her goal is crystal clear: to stay healthy, independent, and vibrant well into old age. I'm not afraid of death, she reflects candidly. The only thing that scares me is losing the ability to care for myself. I hope that when the time comes for me to go, I pass away without any illness, peacefully in my sleep. That, to me, would mean my life was truly complete. It's a sentiment that many might find bold, even surprising, but her perspective is rooted in deep wisdom. While some people may pity an 80-year-old woman living alone, assuming that she must feel lonely or burdened without someone to look after her, what they fail to realize is that her ability to live independently is a profound source of happiness for her. Health, she firmly believes, is everything. If an elderly person can live without illness, if they can enjoy their days free from pain, then they have truly achieved the greatest happiness that old age can offer. Her words ring with a truth that's often overlooked. For her, living alone isn't a curse or a hardship, it's a privilege, a testament to the fact that she's still capable, still thriving. Don't you agree with what I'm saying, she asks, a twinkle of confidence in her eyes. I'm in great health, my outlook on life is incredibly optimistic, and my happiness level in old age is through the roof. Living alone hasn't lowered my quality of life one bit, in fact. It's a mark of my strength. The secret to her happiness and independence lies in 3 key principles that have guided her for more than 20 years, allowing her to live alone, full of joy and fulfillment, without ever feeling the weight of loneliness. First and foremost, she has always prioritized her physical health. Exercise is non-negotiable for her, and she sees it as the foundation of her well-being. It's not just about keeping her body strong, it's about maintaining her independence and ensuring she can continue to enjoy life on her own terms. Second, she never underestimates the power of a positive mindset. No matter what challenges come her way, she faces them with an optimistic attitude and a sense of gratitude. She doesn't let minor setbacks drag her down. Instead, she finds joy in the small, everyday moments. This mental resilience, she believes, is just as crucial as physical health when it comes to aging well. And finally, she has always embraced a sense of purpose in her life. Whether it's through her travels, her relationships with friends, or the goals she sets for herself, she stays engaged with the world around her. She doesn't allow herself to fade into the background just because she's growing older. To her, every day is an opportunity to learn, to explore, and to experience something new. These three pillars, physical health, mental strength, and a sense of purpose, have carried her through the last 20 years of living alone, not just surviving but thriving. And as she looks to the future, she's confident that these principles will continue to sustain her, allowing her to live out her old age in happiness, peace, and, most importantly, on her own terms. Her story is a powerful reminder that aging doesn't have to be synonymous with decline. Instead, it can be a time of strength, independence, and joy if you're willing to put in the effort, embrace life with open arms, and never stop moving forward. First, when a person gets old, they should live a little selfishly. As a person grows older, she firmly believes that it becomes essential to live with a little selfishness. It might sound surprising to some, but in her view, putting your well-being first is not just a necessity, it's an act of love for both yourself and your family. Children have their own blessings, their own responsibilities, and their own lives to manage. The last thing an elderly parent should become is a burden for them. She reflects on this with a sense of clarity that only years of experience can bring. Back when her husband was still alive, they were able to live comfortably, thanks to their combined pensions, which amounted to 7,000 to 8,000 yuan per month. Her husband was a wise man, particularly when it came to managing the household finances. He always ensured that their quality of life was maintained, never allowing their standard of living to drop. Even so, they both had a strong sense of responsibility towards their son and daughter-in-law. Despite not being wealthy, they would give them 2,000 yuan a month to help ease the financial strain on the young couple. After all, her son and his wife were raising a child, managing a household, and paying off a large mortgage for a spacious home that exceeded 100 square meters. Their combined income was over 10,000 yuan a month, but with living expenses and the burden of a 6,000 yuan mortgage, they faced considerable financial pressure. Her husband, ever the compassionate father, felt for them. Every month, without hesitation, he would give the young couple 2,000 yuan to make their lives just a little bit easier. But when her husband passed away, she was faced with a difficult reality. Without his pension, their household income was significantly reduced. After careful thought, she made a difficult decision. She told her son and daughter-in-law that she could no longer afford to continue giving them financial support. She was honest with them, explaining that without her husband's income, it was impossible to keep up the monthly contribution. What touched her heart was the understanding response from her son and daughter-in-law. They reassured her, telling her not to worry about them and to focus on living her life in peace. "We don't need your support anymore," they said, comforting her during that challenging time. They were grateful for what she had done for them, but they knew it was time for her to focus on herself. From that moment on, she never gave them another penny. "If I have the ability, I'll gladly help," she told them. "But since I can't anymore, I won't pretend to be rich." Trying to act wealthy when you're not only harms both yourself and others. In her eyes, if an elderly person can't provide financial help to their children, the best thing they can do is avoid becoming an additional burden. "If I continued giving my son 2,000 yuan every month," she reflects, "my living standards would undoubtedly suffer. My resources are limited, and if I kept giving, I'd have to make sacrifices for my own expenses. That would affect my nutrition and, ultimately, my health. And if my health deteriorated, my son would be left in a difficult position, having to care for me while managing his own life. Or wouldn't that be hurting him in the long run?" To her, it's crystal clear, elderly people must prioritize their health and well-being, not just for their own sake, but for the sake of their children. She has thought deeply about this, and her conclusion is that taking care of herself is the most loving thing she can do for her family. After careful consideration, she divided her modest 4,500 yuan pension into 3 distinct parts: one for daily food and personal expenses, one for various living costs, and one for savings. This system allows her to live comfortably without stress, knowing that she has enough to meet her needs. More importantly, it gives her peace of mind. Her children don't have to worry about her financial stability, and she doesn't have to feel guilty about being a burden to them. Her philosophy is simple but profound. Whether you're old or young, you need to have a clear sense of boundaries. For elderly people in particular, it's crucial to embrace a bit of selfishness, not in a harmful or greedy way, but in a way that ensures their health, happiness, and independence. If you don't think for yourself, she warns, you'll only end up living a life full of regret and pain. If you don't put yourself first at this stage in life, she says, you'll find that you're unable to truly enjoy your remaining years. This approach has served her well, living within her means, taking care of her health, and ensuring she doesn't depend on her children for financial support have allowed her to maintain her dignity and independence. To her, this isn't just a way to get by, it's the key to a fulfilling, contented old age. Her story is a powerful reminder that sometimes taking a step back from helping others, especially when it starts to compromise your well-being, is the most responsible, loving thing you can do for everyone involved. She lives by the belief that, as an elderly person, it's not selfish to look after yourself first. In fact, it's the wisest decision you can make, both for your own sake and for the sake of your family. By living a disciplined, well-balanced life, she continues to thrive, proving that aging doesn't have to mean giving up your independence or your happiness. Instead, it can be a time of self-care, reflection, and ultimately, peace. Second, don't interfere too much in your children's lives. Many older people struggle with this concept. They see their children facing difficulties, perhaps financially or emotionally, and their first instinct is to step in and help. Some even go as far as living frugally, sacrificing their own comfort, and saving every penny to leave money for their children, thinking that ensuring their children's well-being will bring them peace in their old age. While this is done out of love and care, it can often backfire. What tends to happen is that the more you give, the more your children come to expect. Instead of recognizing the sacrifices made, some children begin to see the support as something owed to them, forgetting the efforts and difficulties their elderly parents face. Over time, this creates an unhealthy dynamic. Instead of gratitude, the elderly find themselves being taken for granted. The children stop caring for their parents' needs, and the parents, in turn, are left feeling bitter, exhausted, and unappreciated. This unfortunate scenario plays out in countless families, leaving many elderly people in emotional and financial hardship, all because they tried to help too much. I've always taken a more open-minded approach, she explains. Ever since my children became independent, I made a conscious decision not to interfere in their lives. They live their way, and I live mine. Her wisdom comes from understanding the importance of boundaries, something that many parents struggle with. I don't worry about their affairs or try to control their decisions. They have their own families, their own responsibilities. Instead of getting involved in their personal matters, I focus on myself. She has learned to find joy and fulfillment in her own life, rather than living vicariously through her children's experiences. I have my own interests and hobbies, and I've maintained a social circle that keeps me engaged and happy. When I have free time, I love inviting my neighbors over for tea. We sit together, chatting about daily life, reminiscing about our youth, and sometimes playing cards or other games. Those moments bring me a lot of joy, and they remind me that life still has so much to offer, even in old age. By keeping her own life full and rich with activities and friends, she has managed to keep a healthy distance from her children's day-to-day problems. My son and daughter-in-law are very considerate, she says with a smile. They often invite me over for meals. Sometimes I go and sometimes I don't. They never pressure me, and they respect that I have my own life to live. What's especially heartwarming is the understanding between her and her children. They know that she values her independence, and that she is happiest when she is free to do as she pleases. They jokingly call me a hedonistic old lady, she laughs, but it's said with love. To them, it means I'm enjoying a happy old age. And in truth, I really am. This playful nickname is a reflection of the balance she struck between staying connected to her family and living life on her own terms. Her approach offers a valuable lesson to other elderly parents. It's natural to want to help your children, to guide them and ensure their happiness, but it's equally important to recognize that their lives are theirs to live. Trying to fix their problems, especially at the expense of your own well-being, can lead to resentment on both sides. The best thing an elderly parent can do is to foster their own happiness and independence. By doing so, you give your children the freedom to grow and manage their own lives, while also ensuring that you maintain a high quality of life for yourself. In her view, not interfering in her children's affairs has been one of the greatest gifts she has given herself. It allows her to preserve her energy, focus on her own happiness, and enjoy the simple pleasures of life without carrying the weight of unnecessary worry. I have no desire to micromanage their lives, she says firmly. I trust that they will make the right decisions for themselves, and if they ever need advice, they know I'm here for them. But I won't overstep or offer help unless they ask for it. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Her words hold deep wisdom. By stepping back and letting her children navigate their own paths, she has created a space where both she and her children can thrive. She leads by example, showing that old age doesn't have to be a time of decline or worry. Instead, it can be a time of personal fulfillment, laughter, and genuine contentment, all while keeping loving relationships intact. Third, the elderly should live happily and not dwell on the past. I believe that since this is my life, it's my responsibility to live it happily, she says with conviction. Her approach to life is rooted in the present moment, where each day is a gift to be appreciated. She cherishes the little things, the ordinary moments that make up her day, and she does what brings her joy. For her, it's essential to avoid dwelling on the past. She's learned that holding on to what's already happened can only weigh you down, and at this stage in life, she chooses to live freely, with an optimistic outlook. Even when I encounter unpleasant things, I don't let them affect my mood, she says. This mindset has kept me healthy and strong for so many years. She recalls an old lady once giving her a piece of advice that has stuck with her ever since. If you want to live well in old age, you must learn to pamper yourself. Let yourself be happy, and don't take anything too seriously. This simple wisdom has resonated deeply with her. It's so true, she says with a smile. You can't change the past, so why let it ruin your mood? The elderly should learn to truly enjoy life as it is now. Let your children live their own lives, do their own thing, and don't worry too much. That way, both the children and the elderly can live peacefully and happily. There is immense power in letting go of regrets, of past mistakes, of what could have been. She believes that this ability to release the past is one of the keys to a joyful old age. Too many elderly people, she feels, spend their time looking backward, consumed by what they can no longer change. This, she insists, only leads to sadness and bitterness. Instead, she chooses to focus on the present, on the good things in her life right now, and on what she can still do to make each day worthwhile. For her, happiness in old age is not about having an extravagant life, but about maintaining a sense of peace and contentment in the simple things. She enjoys spending time with her friends, staying active, and pursuing hobbies that bring her joy. She has no interest in ruminating over the past or letting negative experiences tarnish her outlook on life. By focusing on the present and choosing joy over regret, she has found that she not only feels better emotionally, but her physical health has benefited as well. It's a mindset that has served her well and kept her strong through the years. In her opinion, the key to a fulfilling life in old age is simple. Embrace the present, live with optimism, and don't take anything too seriously. You have to learn to pamper yourself a little, she says. We spend our whole lives caring for others, worrying about our children, our families, and our responsibilities. But at this stage in life, it's important to take care of yourself. Do what makes you happy. Surround yourself with things and people that bring you joy, and don't let the past or other people's problems weigh you down. To sum it all up, she believes that living alone as an elderly person doesn't have to be a lonely or unhappy experience. In fact, it can be quite the opposite. If you have good health, a positive attitude, and manage your finances wisely, you can live a very happy life on your own, she says confidently. Health, in her view, is the foundation of everything. Without it, it's hard to enjoy life. But with it, there's no reason not to live fully, even if you're living alone. I think if you believe in your ability, she adds, you can face old age without fear. You can live a happy and meaningful life, one that's filled with purpose and joy, regardless of whether you have a partner or live on your own. For her, old age is not something to fear or dread. It's simply another chapter, one where happiness is still very much within reach if you approach it with the right mindset. By keeping an optimistic attitude and focusing on what truly matters, she has found a way to live out her later years with grace, joy, and contentment. As we reflect on everything we've discussed today, it's clear that aging doesn't have to be a time of decline or fear. It's a chance to embrace independence, find happiness in the present, and live life on your own terms. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What have you learned from this video? Please take a moment to comment below on one thing that resonated with you and that you'll bring into practice in your own life. If you enjoyed this video, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support helps us continue to create content that inspires and uplifts. Thank you for watching.